and she is attendee of the conference. She's been coming, I guess, a couple of years. You've been coming. So, what have you learned over the past couple of years in coming, and why do you come to this expo?
To answer the first part of the question, what I've learned since I've been coming here the past few years, I've learned that it's a knowledge deficit as far as the things that the people in our community are teaching the young kids. We are telling kids the traditional things, like they should go to college and look for the future, but we're not moving beyond that. Yes, we should teach kids to go to college. We should also teach kids, starting at a very young age. I believe you guys even interviewed someone who's relatively young who was here today. We should expose our children to things like this at a very early age. Yes, we should teach them that they should go to college, but we should also teach them to think outside the box and look at things like investing in precious metals, and investing in the markets, whatever the case may be. Just teach our children that there are other ways to make money other than going to punch someone's clock. As Greg said earlier, you should make your money work for you. You don't just have to work for it.
And what I want you to also expound upon, once again, not that I'm trying to term this racial or gender, but you are an African-American woman or a woman of color, and instead of spending your Saturday at the beauty salon, getting the hair and the nails done, you decided to make a conscious decision to come to the Natural Resource Expo. She also bought a silver 1-ounce piece for $35, and she bought two. And we're at the closing of the Chicago Resource Expo. I've had such a wonderful time, and I am sitting here with a young lady who is doing some wonderful, magical things for the various mining companies here at the Chicago Resource Expo. Her name is Sue Glover, and she is the Vice President of Corporate Development for RBL Communications, a social media company. So what brought you to the Expo, and why did you want to bring social media to the Expo?
I'm at the Expo today with one of my clients, Taku Gold.
Okay.
They came on board a year and a half ago. They're one of the first mining companies to jump on board to social media as a way to connect and create community for their investors. I also decided that it would be remiss of me not to take this opportunity to try to meet other companies that need the same promotion. During a market crash and tough times like this, obviously one of the biggest problems we've got is telling a story, getting a good word out, and gaining back consumer confidence. Social media networking is something everyone has access to. Facebook. It's something
Twitter.
Twitter, LinkedIn, your RSS feeds, your iTunes. It's giving these companies, these venture companies, the opportunity to tell their story to the average human being sitting at home feeling confused and overwhelmed by the investment industry. It's intimidating.
Making me feel so relaxed.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's an intimidating business. It is.
Wow, that is amazing. So what has been your challenge? Because you're dealing with a group of old heads who, this is not a way of doing business for them. How do you teach an old dog new tricks?
Well, it's a good question. I'm a bit of an old dog doing a new trick myself here. I won't kid you. There's no doubt about that. I think that most of us in the over 40 demographic are much lighter users of social media platforms than we would find with the younger demographic. But I think that there is an innate understanding now internationally. And I think when you look at some of the great things that have been happening globally with unrest, civic unrest and civil unrest, we've seen the power of social media. And I think that what we've grown to understand is whether we choose to make it part of our day-to-day life or not, it's access. And the average person wants access and community, and that's what social media brings to this industry.
So this may be a stupid question, and I'm not a stupid person, but I have to say that because, you know, I want people that are watching, we have to break this down and make it easy for people to understand. In terms of the mining companies that are here, because this is a resource expo.
Yes.
And it's about gold and silver and platinum and copper and uranium and, you know, all of this. How does social media benefit these companies in terms of a profit margin?
Absolutely. Do we affect the bottom line? That's a really good question. I would argue that the transparency created by the access to information because of social media has certainly opened the door to investors that we've never seen before in this industry.
Doing business online.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The average Joe can now jump on the internet, do some research, here maybe read a newspaper article that says we're going to be short on uranium in the next 10 years. Well, I hear this on the news. This doesn't mean a lot to me. But now I can hop on my social media platforms. I can take a look at websites. I can determine who's in the uranium business, who's going to stock at a price I can afford, and I can get access to investor packages, maps of projects, drill results, the entire history of the company at the touch of a button. That's incredible.
Yes, it is. So, your goal today was to connect with other mining companies to generate more business.
My goal in coming to this show was twofold. I was here to represent Taku Gold as a social media provider. We like to support our clients 150%. So we will attend functions to take video footage, because you know you can't be on a social media platform without an awful lot of content to keep it interesting. And people, as you know better than anybody, want video content.
Absolutely.
Why would I read something when someone can tell me the story? So I was here to help tell Taku Gold's story, but in addition I was here to hopefully connect with other companies and offer these invaluable absolutely. And there's a lot of education required. You know, I met an older gentleman here at this event who took me to the side and said, "Ma'am, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm a little embarrassed. Do you mind?" I said, "Not at all." He said, "Can you tell me what social media is?" So I explained. Then he looked at me and said, "Now this is even more embarrassing. What's Facebook?"
Oh. I don't want to laugh, but the thought that there are people that exist on the planet that don't know what Facebook is.
Well, there are. And you know, when we get into the over 50 demographic in particular, we are looking at people who potentially don't have any direct experience with social media platforms.
Well, the baby boomers, that wasn't their generation. They didn't know anything about that.
And in fact are resistant, I would argue, to some extent.
They're very resistant. And the interesting thing is, I was looking at the news, and they actually have classes for senior citizens. Not to say if you're in your 50s, you're a senior, but you're headed that direction, so let's just keep it real and be honest. But they have classes to teach some of these people how to utilize the internet, how to use a computer.
Absolutely.
Because if you have no computer skills, basic computer skills, you literally are lost.
Well, everything is online. The whole world is open to you if you need it and want it to be. And it's a shame to think that a little technical discomfort could keep a person from access to such wonderful information about all sorts of things. And the community created. Let's not forget community. It's about finding other people who share the same likes and interests as you, sharing information and connecting. And I think we in this modern society desperately seek the opportunity to connect.
Do you realize, and I'm sure you know this, you can hardly find a company that will hand you a paper application. When you go to apply for a job, you got to apply online.
Yeah, it's interesting. The trend
They don't give you paper anymore.
No, and in fact, the trend is quite intriguing. We see that as well. We see companies now wanting you to apply online, and you'll get a telephone interview first, in fact, often before you even are brought in.
And if you don't apply online on your own, if you go into that entity like a Macy's or a Target or a Walgreens, they have their own computers right there the kiosk, even the Family Dollar. If you want a job at Family Dollar, you go in there, you sit down at the kiosk at their own computer and fill out an application.
Now in Canada, we don't see that. The market's a little different. Traditionally in Canada, the companies that require online applications and pre-interviewing are traditionally companies expecting you to work in a computer environment. So if you weren't comfortable applying that way, then obviously you wouldn't be comfortable within the function of the job. I haven't seen yet in the Canadian market as much online applying in that same way for general retail positions. Although most of the major retailers that are coming out of America are definitely promoting online application. But you know what social media is also offering the young people of today that I find really exciting is the opportunity. You know, there are lots of kids out there who would love nothing more to spend all day on social media networks. Well, how about going to university for a degree in social networking?
I can get a college degree on Facebook.
Well, not on Facebook.
Is it going that way now?
There is a degree program in social networking, because if you want to look at the biggest corporations in the world, the McDonald's of the world, the Walmarts of the world, you will very quickly see that these companies have massive social networking departments that are managing this for them. And in fact, my very own young cousin, who is 24 years old, is now holding her degree in social networking and is working professionally in a commercial environment as a social networker.
You are so right on about this, because I just recently started investigating and learning more about silver and gold because of the Bible study classes that I attend. My metaphysical herbalist, who's my minister, Dr. Lee Warren from Plym, The Power is Latent in Man, he's been educating us about this. And I made my first purchase investment in silver on the internet. I went to willoughbyandward.com, and I was so shocked because they were giving away free coins. And I'm like, I can get a free coin. And basically what it was, the first coin was free to start your coin collection. And I ordered a 1943 dime, and all I had to pay was $1.95 shipping and handling.
Well, did you know that part of your own American Constitution, in fact, clearly states that the only legal tender is gold and silver?
Yes, I know. But
isn't that intriguing?
Yeah, well, and they break their own laws.
Well, in this case, obviously, we've chosen to bend a rule. But yes, no doubt. I don't think we can ever underestimate the power in the world in terms of our resources.
I want to ask you one last question, because I've been talking about this entire weekend. One day, we are going to walk into the grocery store or department store, and they're going to not take our cash. They're going to only want gold and silver. How is that going to affect social media?
Well, I differ. I personally choose not to foresee a future with an entirely crashed economy and the dollar as we know it.
That's why.
Maybe that is why. Maybe that
You don't live in the United States.
I like to think that when we reach the point where we can only walk into a store with gold and silver, we're probably at the Mad Max point then. And I like to think I won't be here for that.
Wow.
You know, returning confidence into the markets and into our communities is the most important step we can take to rebuilding.
Wow.
It really is.
Well, thank you so much, Sue, for taking the time to talk to us.
You're doing wonderful work, and I'm glad to have been a part of it.
That is so sweet.
It was wonderful to meet you.
Oh, thank you so much.